Hello and very welcome to 1614 of the series. We will now continue and go further from we did last time. 1615 is the true number. We will continue with Wittgenstein, Rethinking the Inner by Johnston. And we've been talking about how to apply concepts, how to understand the value, the weight of something. And very good quote here, and for the sake of it I will repeat it. Although there are no rules, experience can develop one's judgment, and there are those whose judgment is better and those whose judgment is worse. More accurate prognosis will generally issue from the judgments of those with better knowledge of mankind. How true. We are all different there. And that means understanding of the whole world. It is not just other people, it's every aspect of reality. The above sections describe some features of our language game. With psychological concepts, and provide some indication of why we are inclined to say that no one can know what another is feeling. However, they may also make the game seem odd. For why do we use such strange, flexible concept? Why not play a simpler game based on clear evidence and rigid criteria? The answer is that no other game could play the same role in our lives. To illustrate this, consider what another game would be like. Is it conceivable, for instance, that we should adopt a different sort of concept, one which brings behavior, occasion and experience into necessary connection? Why not? But we would then have to be so constituted that we really did always, or almost always, react similarly to similar circumstances. For if we believe his expression of feeling to be genuine, then in general we behave differently than if we believe the opposite. In reality, our reactions to others are not uniform, and what one person sees as a genuine cry of pain, another may see as a manipulative attempt to gain attention. For this reason, we would not know what to do with the concept involving a necessary connection. It would be like the idea of a rigidly defined concept of a heap of sand. Very well put. We could imagine a group of people who had the ability to tell at a glance the number of grains in a heap of sand, and therefore found it useful to have strictly defined concepts of a heap, a small heap, a mound, etc. For us, however, such concepts would be highly impractical. In the case of psychological concepts, the contrast would be even greater. Suppose a group of people define pain in terms of a particular chemical reaction in the brain and use the machine to test for this reaction. In their game, the machine's verdict and not the individual's utterances and behavior is treated as definitive. Here it is already questionable whether we would want to call this a concept of pain. And as for playing the game, it is not clear that it would be either desirable or even possible. Would we, for example, accept that an apparent malingerer was in pain if the machine said so? Or that a friend wasn't, despite the spasms, contorting her face? The new game, with its unanimity and clarity, would certainly be a far cry from the old one, although people might play it. The very fact that they did so makes them a radically different type of people from us. as well as allowing scope for variations in our reactions to each other. For it allows them to cope with the diversity and variation which is characteristic of human behavior. Very good. As the notion of imponderable evidence makes clear, fine shades of behavior play a key role in our language game indeed. As the notion of imponderable evidence makes clear, fine shades of behavior play a key role in our language game indeed. Wittgenstein argues that irregularity and diversity are crucial in our response to something as alive and as human. If we are to imagine a language game of fixed rules and clear criteria, we must also imagine a people whose behavior took clear, simple patterns. The lives of such a people would be very different from our own, and how we would relate to them is unclear. They would differ from us in a similar way to a people whose only concept of music was of the sort produced by mechanical music boxes. Although we might find their music enjoyable, its regularity and precision would make it very different from our own. The music would lack a dimension. The series of sounds might be pleasant, but in a mechanical way. The most important thing would be missing. One might almost say it would lack a soul. To illustrate these points, let us return to the example of facial expressions. Suppose there were a group of people whose facial movements could indeed be captured in simple, rigidly defined concepts. For example, their faces are such that they only ever snap between four expressions, each of which is always absolutely the same. What would we make of such expressions? And how would we relate to such a people? We certainly could not relate to their behavior as we do to normal human behavior. For example, it is doubtful whether they could be said to smile, for this is a particular expression within a play of features. A face with a limited set of expressions would make a different impression from one with an indefinite number. A facial expression that was completely fixed could not be a friendly one. Variability and irregularity are essential to a friendly expression. Irregularity is part of its physiognomy. Once again, the importance of our relation to the other person and to the form her behavior takes is underlined. Seeing something as the manifestation of an inner involves relating to it in a particular way. And this is only possible if the expression is of a certain kind. A set of geometrically describable facial expressions would strike us as strange and mechanical, and even if one of them was similar to a smile, it is unlikely we would see it as expressive of anything, let alone of a particular feeling or emotion. the absence of mathematical regularity in human behavior brings us back to our idea that the inner is hidden and cannot be known. For according to Wittgenstein, what really lies behind this claim is the unpredictability of human behavior. If someone's behavior was predictable in every detail, not only would the concepts of the inner lose their importance in relation to her, but it would be hard to see her as a conscious individual. The lack of fine shades in her behavior and its predictability would undermine our sense of it as the actions of a person as opposed to a machine. Here, what is important is that we do not regard ourselves and others as complex machines. On the contrary, the concept of the inner expresses our sense of this distinctness of a certain type of being. I do not know what's going on inside it right now. That could be said of the complicated mechanism, say, of a fine clock, which triggers various external movements according to very complicated law. looking at it, one might think, if I know what it looked like inside, what was going on right now, I would know what to expect. But with a human being, the assumption is that it is impossible to gain an insight into the mechanism. Thus, indeterminacy is postulated. The idea that we can never know exactly what another individual is thinking and feeling reflects the nature of our relation to others. For us, spontaneity and an absence of simple regularity are characteristic of life, and in particular, human life. The comparison of the individual's inner with a hidden mechanism falls down, for it misses the essence of our relation to ourselves and others. As Wittgenstein notes, I believe unpredictability must be an essential characteristic of the inner. As also is the endless diversity of expressions. Here it is worth considering what is involved in ascribing to someone an inner or a soul. Take the dispute about whether animals have an inner. what is it makes people decide one way or the other. Those who say that a dog has no soul base this on what he can and can't do. For if someone says that a dog can't hope, where does he get this from? And whoever says that a dog has a soul can only base this on behavior he observes in the dog. Only look at the face and the movements of a dog, and you'll see that he has a soul. But what is it in the face? Is it, at least amongst other things, the lack of rigidity? Let me take a summary there. It wouldn't be a true emotion if it switched only between 4 fixed movements of ready-made emotions. That wouldn't capture the flowing movement of emotions that makes it truly human. The innerness is the difficulty in understanding, the complexity, not ever because it is inner, geographically, spatially, or otherwise. It is purely because of its difficulty, of its complexity, that's been neglected to take note of. And that makes it impossible for the inner to be a complicated clock hidden from view inside the skull or somewhere else. Wittgenstein even shows that to be nonsensical. It cannot be separated from the outerness. Then no thinking, expressions, feelings, emotion, pain would make any sense at all. A human soul is as complicated as the whole world because it participates in the whole world. that does not necessarily mean it cannot be an individual. It doesn't lose its borders, it gains them by accepting everything. I will have to stop there. I say thank you very much for your patience and have a very pleasant day. Bye bye for now.